together. We sat down for an hour or so, chanting together. Maybe I can have this one actually.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. I missed the sound of harmonium.
Yeah.
The kirtan must be some harmonium.
Yeah. I mean, one tune that we used to play the farm. I don't know, maybe if you heard that too. It was like this: Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
मैं तो बना
Hare.
प्रसाद बना रही
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
speak a little bit today. The topic that is announced, yes, Damodar is there, and we will speak about Krishna's plan for the conditioned souls. And the topic is touching upon some fundamental truths that we find in the Vedic knowledge, in the Vedic literature, fundamental truth about the scriptures, about Krishna, about Krishna's energies, about the process of devotional service, and the ultimate goal of life, which is to attain love of God. So these topics, there are actually 10 different topics. I will not talk about all of them today, but they are considered the fundamental truths of the Vedic science, the Vedic knowledge. And the course that we will we're planning to start on next Saturday, the 18th, no, this Saturday actually, 18th of October. This is a course of the Bhagavad Gita, which is describing these 10 fundamental truths in a very nice way. So we call this the Bhagavad Gita course. Hare Krishna, welcome. And it is highly recommended for anyone who wants a good understanding of the foundation of Bhakti Yoga and Krishna consciousness. And especially it is very much recommended for young people, actually in the early teens, because in every spiritual tradition they have, when one gets old enough to understand by intelligence some philosophy and some fundamental truths, each religion they have a program. Like in Christianity, as many people in this country, we come from Christian background originally. So when I was, I think, 12 or 13, way back in 1967, I think, we were signed up for the local priest, and once a week we came and we were studying the Christian teachings of Lord Jesus Christ and the Bible and like that. And I realized afterwards that they are also contained within the Vedic tradition very nicely. And without getting too much into detail, but more and more there are coming evidence for that answers a very deep question which Christianity had for 2,000 years. Because in the Bible, in the Gospels, there is described from when Jesus was 12 until he was 30. Nobody had no idea what he was doing. This is called the lost years in the life of the Lord Jesus Christ. So he was very special when he was a kid, but he became even more special when he came back, because then he started to do all those miracles and he was preaching very strongly. So there's more and more evidence coming that what actually happened was that Lord Jesus Christ, he was spending those 18 years in India, in the Himalayas. He was learning the teachings of the Vedas from saintly persons, from rishis, from gurus. And he was even practicing the yoga siddhis. The yoga siddhi means different mystic powers that one could develop by following the teachings of certain yogis and rishis, like, becoming lighter than the lightest and producing any item from thin air. And these yoga siddhis, Lord Jesus Christ was displaying when he came back to the Middle East. by producing bread and fish and by walking on water, and to get people's attention, because unless you do something spectacular, people, they don't listen to you, especially not these days. They go on TikTok and Instagram, and so many things are more important than the fundamental spiritual truths of existence. So in any case, in Christianity, they have something called a confirmation. I don't know if you were old enough to, you were never confirmed.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
So generally the boys were studying separately from the girls when I was in the 60s. Maybe now they have mixed classes. But you studied for some time, and then you went to the church and you did the ceremony, and then you was confirmed. It's a confirmation of faith. In Islam they do something similar, because when boys and girls are in that particular age, they take personal responsibility for their faith and the religion, and they study the Quran. In Judaism they have something called bar mitzvah. It's the same thing, they study for the rabbi and like that. So I thought, why not do the same thing? We have in our congregation some intelligent boys and girls in that age, so we welcome them very much to sign up for this course of the Bhagavad Gita, and then we can have our own. In India, traditionally this is called Upanayana. I don't know, you heard about Upanayana, right? I think from India, where they're given the Brahminical thread. So in ISKCON we do it a little differently. The sacred thread are given after some years of active practice of Bhakti Yoga. So we can look at this course that we're going to start. I think I know you wanted to sign up, for example. And then if we haven't, just a handful of people will do this course, and we can look at it as a pre-Upanayana education, spiritual education. So we'll talk about these fundamental truths of the Vedas in the light of the Bhagavad Gita, which is a very wonderful scripture giving a broad picture of the whole Vedic path. So in any case, I will speak today partly about Krishna's plan. Krishna is a name of God, as we know, and so when we say the name Krishna, we can think also about Allah and Jehovah if you want. Krishna is very special because contrary to what many believes, the Vedic tradition, or as it's called nowadays, Hinduism, is not a tradition of many gods like this. It's because they call Hinduism generally a pantheistic or polytheistic religion, meaning that there is not one God, there are many, many. We have to qualify that. The correct technical term for Hinduism is polymorphic monotheism. Oh, that was difficult. Polymorphic monotheism. Monotheism means that there's only one God. So Christianity is monotheism, Islam is monotheism, Judaism is monotheism. But what Hinduism is, it's monotheism, but it's polymorphic. Polymorphic means you have one God, but he has many, many forms, right? So some of the forms are non-different from the one monotheistic view. Like we are celebrating this month the pastime of Damodar. Damodar is one of the many forms of Krishna. So Krishna appears as Krishna Damodar, or Krishna Govinda, Krishna Gopal, as so many different, even we have Nrsingadev, Vishnu, Narayan, all of them are the same person, so to speak, but in many, many different forms, right? Bal Krishna we have on the altar, and Madan Mohan, Gopinath, they're all Krishna. It's a monotheistic. But since there are many, many forms, it's called polymorphic. That means morph means form. And similarly, there is another segment of very powerful gods which are called the devas or demigods. which are not Krishna, because they're also living entities, just like us living beings. But they are very, very powerful. And we speak about Brahma and Ganesh. We speak about Saraswati, the goddess of fortune, the goddess of learning. So there are very many different forms like this. And then, of course, we have Lord Shiva, who is a very special category. He is both simultaneously one with Krishna and different. He has his own particular category like this. So this is the richness of the Vedic tradition of the Hinduism, because there are so many forms. Lord Ram, for example, is also non-different from Krishna, Ramchandra, and Dwarkadish, the Lord of Dwarka, is also Krishna. So every devotee of God finds his or her particular favorite form that they really like. Some people may like Damodar very much, small, naughty Krishna. The Mother Yashoda was binding with a rope, or other one would prefer to worship Lord Ram, like in India. It's very popular to be a Ram Bhakta, or a devotee of Lord Ram. Like this. I think it's even more popular to be a Ram Bhakta than a Krishna Bhakta. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Krishna, in all of his forms, he has a plan for the conditioned souls. Now, what is a soul actually? Well, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Mama Ivangsha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, that Krishna is not only God, he's also God along with all the living entities and all his Shaktis, all his spiritual power. Like Srimati Radhika, she is the personification of Krishna's Shakti of bliss, Ladini Shakti. And from Srimati Radhika comes so many other divine goddesses like Lakshmi, Lakshmi Narayan, and also Durga, the wife of Lord Shiva, and Kali. They're all coming from Srimati Radharani, but they are different forms with different flavor and different moods, so to speak. Like Srimati Radharani, she's all sweet, mellow, just serving Krishna and bringing all the souls come. Let's go and serve Krishna. Then, when she becomes Lakshmi, she's more like majestic and powerful, and like that she's in charge of all the opulences, like that. And then when she becomes Durga, she's more like dealing in the material world. You know, there are many worshippers of Durga who prefer to get Lakshmi and to get progress, to get material benefit. And then there are even some who worship the form like Kali or Bhadra Kali. In our tradition here, is not at all recommended, because that's pretty dangerous and powerful. Then used to have human sacrifices in India to present to the goddess of Kali, Bhadra Kali. And anyway, I can get into descriptions, but they're not very nice. But there are always people who wants to worship frightening forms of God. So in any case, conditioned soul means the souls living here in this world under the influence of the material nature. Material nature is basically manifesting as goodness, as passion and endeavor, and as ignorance. So one thing is, just to make a little sidestep here, as long as I remember, I've been interested in what actually motivates people. What is it that makes people work hard and endeavor so hard to attain things and like that, and so many different things, because we don't want the same, we want different things. So first we can understand that basically the mode of passion is the part of the material nature that ignites that fire, that passion in people, that I have to really try hard, to whatever you want to do, go to the gym and build a body, or work very hard late hours to get a paycheck or a better position or power or prestige, and all these things. There's a mode of passion. People who are in the mode of ignorance, they don't really try very hard. Okay, I can just go to sleep, take some alcohol or drugs, or that's it. Why should I go and work hard? And that's for the others. Or people in the mode of goodness, they understand that actually true happiness is not found in external things. I don't have to work and endeavor so hard to become satisfied. So I'm pretty pleased. I'm happy and content. I don't want to do more than necessary. And in endeavor, I can engage in spiritual life, in meditation, studying of scriptures, and live a life in sattva, in goodness, like this. But what makes people tick, what motivates them, generally is mode of passion in this world. So this is how things are going on here. You work very hard a full month, and then you get your paycheck, and you can pay your rent, and you can buy food, and then get some money over, and you can try and go and have fun for that. So these are the conditions. Other conditions that we as souls, and I can just quote to the verse, Mama Gangsha Jiva Loki, Mama Gangsha means that all the souls, all the spirits, you and me, everyone else, our consciousness, we're actually part of Krishna. We're part of the big spirit, just like the sparks of the fire are part of the big fire. So, but some of us, we are here in this material world, and the condition here that we have to act from within a material body. We have a body which Krishna says, Yantra Rudhani Mayaya. Yantra means machine. So what we are encased in is like a machine made of material energy. Yantra Rudhani Mayaya. Maya means material energy. So this is our vehicle that are at our disposal so that we can act and interact in this material world where we are conditioned. So one of the conditions is that this body has a beginning, it's called birth, and then it stays for a while, it gets, diseased, sick sometimes, have some accidents, a broken leg or concussion, and then it kind of withers down, it grows old, and then it dies. So this is what the soul has to deal with, being encased, one cycle after the other, being incarnated or reincarnated in the body that is born, that is sick, sometimes gets old and dies. This is not really what the soul is used to, because we actually belong in the association with Krishna and all the other forms of Krishna in the spiritual world, and we are not limited to material body, because if something wrong with the material body, it's very hard to function. We don't even pursue our material goals and desires if there's something wrong with the body. If there's something strange, we have to run to the bathroom all the time, or in the, we have pain in the belly, there's so many things. So, and when the body is malfunctioning, it's very difficult to be peaceful in the mind, because a peaceful mind is required if you want to contemplate transcendental things, if you want to meditate, like that. So if the mind is unrestful or disturbed by different things, by a malfunctioning body or by something else, that you can be satisfied and happy. Krishna even says that in the Gita, without peace, how can there be happiness? Right? So these are the conditions. In this material world, we are given the body, birth, death, disease, and old age, and we get different disturbances and distractions from the body or from other living beings that treat us badly, or maybe commit violence against us or something, or even like a mosquito or a wasp or a bee that sting us or a snake bite or a bird passing stool, or so you get all kinds of sufferings and disturbances from other living beings. And on top of that, you have all the natural phenomena when it's extremely hot or extremely cold, where it's storm and wind or rain, hailstorms, earthquakes, volcanoes. You have a long list. So this is our condition. That's why this world is called conditioned existence. And we are conditioned souls. Luckily for us, Krishna has a plan for the conditioned souls. So now I'm going to speak about the plan. Because Krishna, he doesn't like us to be conditioned. He doesn't like us to be sitting in the conditioned world. Because he wants to enjoy together with us, because that's what we are made for, so to speak. So this leads us into a question which is very classic. The question is, if I'm asking that, why conditioned souls, we can ask, why anything? Why is there anything? We have the conditioned souls and we have the liberated souls. The liberated souls are free to act. They are not limited with the body. They are not limited by what you can see, hear, taste, touch, and feel. Because this is the kind of reality that limits us. When somebody speaks about the transcendental reality, they say, I don't believe, prove it. Prove that God exists, and like that. Well, it's not that easy, because you can only perceive such that you can touch, that you can see, that you can smell, taste, or hear. This is a limitation, and God is not limited. He can appear, if he wants, within that confinement. For example, like the murti is made of brass, but it's no different from Krishna. But because the deity form is there, we can see it, we can hold it, Otherwise, how can you see and hold something transcendental? Right? It's not possible. So the question is, why does anything exist at all? This is interesting because 50 years ago, in 1975, in February 13, in Mexico City, of all places, Srila Prabhupada, he got that exact question from one PhD, a German gentleman. It was in a room conversation with a lady, Sanskrit professor, and this German man. They were asking the question, why is there anything at all? Why do I exist? Why do you exist? Why does anything exist? That actual question is made famous by a German philosopher called Leibniz. Leibniz, he was living during the 16th and 17th century. He was a mathematician, he was a philosopher, so-called polymath, means that he had many different sciences. And he formulated this question that was called his famous cosmological question. Why is there anything? Why is there something rather than nothing? Nothing, then you come into Buddhism. But why is there something rather than nothing? He was looking for a reason. What is the reason that anything exists at all? And his answer is that there must be a necessary person. A necessary person. Everything else can be derived. And that necessary person is God. That's God. Huh? So God is the reason why. And Prabhupada thought it was interesting because he would like to ask, from where does everything come? What is the origin on everything? And this is explained very clearly in the Vedas, that Krishna, like Parisya Shakti Vividaya Shruyate, many different powers and energies are emanating from Krishna. So he is the origin. Sarva Karana Karana. He's the first cause of all the other cause. He's the first reason for all other reasons. Yeah. So, but then Prabhupada he went from the question, from where does everything come, back to the why does everything exist? Why does it exist? And Prabhupada answered with one word: pleasure, ananda. That's the reason everything exists. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Everyone can understand that. And that gave the final answer to my question: what makes people tick? What makes them endeavor? You go to school, maybe you hate school, but somebody told you if you finish school, you get a degree, and you get graduate, and then you can get a job, and then you get money, success, and so there's always this carrot coming like this. That carrot is pleasure. So if I finish school, I will get money. Then I can spend the money and I can enjoy. I can be happy, like this. So that is actually the reason why anything exists, and it's confirmed in the essence of all Vedic scriptures, which is called the Vedanta Sutra. Veda means the entire knowledge base of Vedic knowledge, and Anta means the conclusion, the essence, the creme de la creme. So that's in the Vedanta Sutra. So in the Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12, it says, Ananda Mayu Bhyasat, which means, Ananda, it means spiritual bliss, happiness. By nature, the Supreme Lord is blissful. And because we are part of Him, by nature, we are also blissful. So if you discover yourself, the spirit soul inside the body, you will discover your true bliss also. Because Krishna is Satchit Ananda, He's eternal, He's fully conscious, and He's full of bliss, all bliss. You, as a small part, Mama Vanshu, you remember, you're also eternal. That's right there in the Bhagavad Gita. Never was there a time when you didn't exist, Krishna tells Arjuna. So all of us sitting in this room have existed for time immemorial. But just now we are encaged in a temporary material body. And unfortunately we're very much identifying with the body, not so much with the soul, which is actually us. But if you discover yourself, self-realization, you will also find eternality, consciousness, and bliss. However, not all eternality like Krishna, all consciousness like Krishna, all bliss like Krishna. No. But this minute part, you will have a quantum understanding that you as a small spark is eternal, and you are also conscious, not like Krishna, he's conscious about everything, all the time. We are conscious what's going on in this body. If you pinch yourself, you can feel it. If somebody else hits you, you feel it. If I pinch me, you don't feel it because you're not conscious about anything else but your own body, right? So this is the interesting point. By nature, the Supreme Lord is blissful. And by our nature, we're also blissful. So we're all looking for that. That is the answer of the question. What makes people tick? What makes them motivated? And why anything exists? That is the pursuit of happiness. Everybody wants to be happy, but he always wants to be more happy. So he wants to find more souls that he can be happy together with. The thing is, as long as you're yourself, you can find yourself, become a little bit happy, still happy. But when you connect with the original source of all happiness, can you imagine how happy you will be? You're just like a battery, except you have 1.5 volts. You can light up a little bulb, But if you plug yourself into the wall, it goes all the way up to the powerhouse. You have almost unlimited power coming through, and you're connected. That connection is called yoga, bhakti yoga, right? So, finding yourself, great. Self-realization, great. But finding Krishna and your relationship with Krishna, that's the perfection. That makes you unlimitedly happy. Right? So, every one of us is seeking ananda, the spiritual bliss. We are seeking pleasure. I may need to qualify that because when we are conditioned, when I was young, the age of Ganesh, a little upper, I was looking for, where can I find something fun? I want to have fun, friends, pleasure, right? So I can do that, and then started, try alcohol and stuff, which is not very good, not at all recommended, and did other crazy things, and then, you enter the age of 30 and 40, and now sitting in this body, like, 70 or 80, and it's not so much about seeking pleasure anymore. It's more about trying to minimize suffering. Isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So if you can wake up one morning and feel, oh, it doesn't hurt, then, so you will notice, one day you will notice also. So that doesn't mean you have to become a Buddhist, because that's the main thing in Buddhism, to minimize suffering. You know, that comes naturally, even if you're aging devotee of Krishna. So that means, you know, to minimize suffering, you lead a regulated life, you have a little exercise, you eat properly, and as you grow older, also eating reduces. When I was in my 20s, you know, I can eat all kinds of fat and salty and unhealthy stuff. If I would do that today, you know, this body will die. So I have to be very careful what I eat, and, you know, and not so much, and not too late in the evening, and, you know, like this. So it's more like minimizing suffering than actively seeking pleasure. That being said, to minimize suffering doesn't feel bad. It's kind of, it's a relief, in a sense. Like you, even if you're a young person, you be downtown and you notice I had to go to the bathroom. I really need to find the bathroom bad now soon. And then you find the bathroom and you go in and relieve yourself, and you come out, oh, that felt good, that feels good. Not really happiness, it's some kind of pleasure. Yeah, it is relief. The absence of suffering. I'm so hungry, I need to drink something, I'm so thirsty, and then oh, thank you very much, that was so good. I was so dry. So it's kind of a absence of suffering is a kind of pleasure, but it's like relief. So that's when we talk about mukti, you know. Mukti means you're not so conditioned anymore. You're not so much suffering. But the true happiness, it's positive. Not that you come out from the bathroom and you're thinking, yippee! You don't do that. Just like, finally, thank you. But you can end up in the same situation again, like that, because you're conditioned. Right? So real bliss is something that really makes your heart explode. I think the closest thing one can experience as a conditioned soul is to be madly in love with somebody, like infatuated. You see this girl, you see this boy, and oh, you see the shoes of this person. Oh, I can't wait until I can meet her again. And you think about it all the time. And so this is as close as you can get to happiness.
Or suffering.
Huh? Förälskelse.
Or suffering, I said.
Yeah, or suffering. That
It can also be suffering. Seeing one's partner
absolutely,
and
yeah.
miss them so much, it becomes suffering. No?
Yeah, it becomes, in this world, you can really hurt badly from being in love. Especially if the person is not reciprocating or kind of rejecting you, and it's just completely crushed like this. There is separation in the spiritual world too. That's completely different. That's also total happiness, but it's a very, very advanced topic. Means that when you think about Krishna, when he's absent, he's there when you think about it. So you're actually connected through separation. That's even something higher bliss than being. Anyway, that's another topic, not for this class. So, as I told you, we're two kinds of souls. There's the conditioned souls in this world, and there are the liberated souls in the spiritual world. And the plan that Krishna has for the conditioned souls is that we should evolve our consciousness. He makes this, the plan is that we should find real love for him. You know? Again, because our problem is that we can misuse our free will. The free will is there as a basis for real love. If there wasn't free will, there would be something that would be business or prostitution or something like that. So real unselfish love comes from me being completely attracted to this other person, and this other person be completely attracted to me. And that can only be fulfilled between the soul and the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. Everything else is motivated by something. So he wants us to use our free will in such a way that I want Krishna. We are here because our free will said, yeah, Krishna, he's fine, but maybe I can be happy without him. You know, maybe I can myself endeavor to find pleasure, to find happiness. So he arranges for this whole world. Please go ahead, try it. He's very kind. Because, you know, if somebody's completely set in his free will, I decided this, you can't change somebody's opinion or against his will. You can force them to gunpoint, or I will kill you unless you give me your wallet or your mobile phone. But you will still hate me because I threatened you, and you are afraid of me, and therefore you comply. But if you think, I'm so attracted to you, I'm prepared to do anything. I can die for you. You can just take me, do whatever you want. I love you so much. That's my choice. That's the way our will should be used in regards to Krishna, who is our eternal loving partner. In this world, we may have some courage, but basically what we love is more like the body and the mind than the actual soul. Even though sometimes we speak about, I found my soulmate, but it's pretty close. And then you may even find him or her in the next life or life after that. But the true soulmate is Krishna. That's the true soulmate. Will never let you down, never disappoint you, never break up with you, never die from you, never move out of town, never to see you again. He will never do that. And I'll tell you why a little later here in the class. He's so beautiful. So Krishna gives us an environment where we can choose to gradually elevate ourselves and into the position of loving relationship with Krishna. First of all, this whole material world have 5 elements, matter. It's governed by universal law. You have the law of electromagnetism, the law of gravity, so many physical laws. The law of what is this? Preservation of energy. The material scientists are completely into this little box, what they can see and touch and measure. They have discovered some of the laws of the universe and some of the universal constants. Beyond that, there are also other more subtle laws which you can't really measure or observe or touch. Laws of moral and ethics, of justice, laws of karma. As you sow, you will reap, like that. But they are there, and they're all coming. Dharma Svanurtitam Pusa. The Dharma, they're called in Sanskrit. They all come from God originally. It's part of the package. But even if you're a staunch atheist, you have to follow these laws, because if you violate them, break them, it will be bad for you. So this is the thing. An intelligent atheist may not admit the existence of God, but they realize, actually, there are some universal laws around here. I better follow them, I better be nice to people, because what comes around goes around, what they say, They will treat you the way you treat them, and, if I'm generous, they will be generous back, and if I speak the truth, etc., etc. So, that one person who is called an immoral atheist, they will just get a lot of bad karma and go further away from our relationship from Krishna, to create for themselves really hellish environment, maybe even already in this lifetime or in the next and following. But then a smart atheist, they follow the laws, and they can even become quite, influential and rich, and start financing Antifa. Anyway, so they can do all kinds of things. Then, if you're even smarter, you realize that this is not by chance that we have those laws. They're coming from somewhere or from someone. It actually must be the laws of some powerful being, God. So they become moral theists. Then they admit the existence of God. Yes, there is a God. There are the 10 commandments in the Christianity, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not steal, etc. And the whole religion of Islam is full of all these rules and commandments that if you follow them, you will get good karma, and like that. This also in Hinduism, we have the Dharma Shastras, many rules and regulations you follow, because then Krishna allows you to try and seek pleasure according to the rules, like this. You can try and be happy by your own endeavor. You follow this rule, that rule, the other thing, and then you will get some fruits. So you have dharma, and you get wealth, artha. You you get reward, the fruits of your good behavior. You work nicely at your job for 1 month, then you will give you the salary. If you do a lot of nonsense, behave badly, threaten the boss or whatever, they will suck you. They will fire you like that. So you play the game according to the universal laws, and then you get your reward, and then you can enjoy karma, right? Dharma, artha, kama. Those who are even more smart, even more elevated consciousness, they say there must be more than just me struggling and struggling and struggling. What is this verse? Ishvara sarva bhutani virishirnu natishtate shashtan indriyani. Anyway, the spirit souls in the conditioned world, the material world, are struggling very hard with the 5 senses and the mind to try to get pleasure, right? Maybe there's a better way to get pleasure. Maybe I can direct myself. Well, we all know we can pray to God. We can worship His representatives, demigods. You know, in India they have a small figure of Ganesh, the elephant god, in the different shops, and they can worship Ganesh, and he will very nicely give them success, fortune, good business. So this is a good way that Krishna is subtly nudging, pushing us to develop the right kind of mentality. If you're a criminal, you go and find some old lady on the street, you find Ella and you smash her and take the purse and a mobile phone and you sell it on the black market. You cause a lot of suffering. You're a criminal and you're going to suffer for what you just did. Maybe the police don't catch you, but the low karma will catch you in the next life and you will suffer because of what you did. But others, they work politely, honestly, and then they get the fruit. And then you have the people who pray to God, please give me this, give me that. Give me some Lakshmi, some money, cure my disease, help me graduate from school, for my benefit, my material. So gradually, Krishna elevates you from one platform to the next, to the next, to the next, like this. So you can go from being a moral theist, being, yes, I want to enjoy in this world, I want to seek pleasure independently, but I anyway ask you to, give me this and give me that, because I've been praying and I've been, this is good. But then at one point you realize, actually that's what I'm meant to be. I'm meant to please God, not to ask Him to please me, right? And that's the turning point, when you go from a moral theist and you become a practicing religious person, or what is called in Sanskrit sadhaka. You perform sadhana bhakti, you practice and you train systematically your function as a servant of God. And there are also rules and regulations where you do that, how you worship the deity, how you chant or your beads. And in the beginning, you may do that sometimes out of fear. In some religions, you fear God. And that, yes, I will obey. Or you do it out of duty. I know this is what I'm supposed to do. The spiritual master, which you should accept at one point for personal guidance, he will tell you this, that's it. Yeah, I will do, out of duty. So you try very much, like, you go to school and you have to learn geography. Maybe I don't really like geography, but I study all the chapters out of duty, because then I can please my teacher and they will give me a good grade, like that, right? So this is the first portion of the sadhaka platform. That's called Vaidhi Bhakti, the regulated knowledge acquiring stage. You act out of duty or even out of fear. But there's another part of the sadhana, or active practicing, that's called the Raganuga platform. Raganuga means you have attraction. You like geography. Yes, I want to study about Africa, I want to learn about China. And yes, thank you, teacher, for telling me to study geography. I really love it, So that's the spontaneous attraction to training to become a full-fledged servant of Krishna, right? And that's a very, very powerful stage. What you do, you come every Sunday here and you chant and you listen and you worship the deity because I really love it. I'm attracted to it. That's the Raganuga. Huh? And that has an extremely powerful, purifying effect on your heart. It simply peels away all the conditioning, all the suffering, all the ignorance, everything goes away. And prepares your heart that Krishna can come personally to sit. And then when Krishna comes, they have the final fifth stage when you become a lover of God. He gives you love of God. That everything, you just think about Krishna all the time. Everything you do, everything you say, everything you, is just because you love Krishna. Like this. That's the Prema Bhakta stage. So you see, Krishna's plan has different stages. And then we should think, where am I at? What do I want to be? Am I an immoral atheist? No, I'm not. I wouldn't be here if I was one. Am I a moral atheist? No, I'm not an atheist. I know very well this is about Krishna. I come here today because I'm curious about Krishna. I want to hear. So maybe I'm more like a moral theist because I'm actively seeking the association of devotees. I'm seeking to see the deities, to take prasadam, the nice vegetarian food, which is sacred, offered to Krishna. So maybe I can, next step for me, maybe I want to become a sadhaka. I want to become a regular practitioner. I want to chant every day, even if it's not much. I may chant 1 round, 2 rounds, and I want to read maybe for 50 minutes, half an hour. I want to learn how to offer my food and, regulate my habits. So then you slide over to the next platform where you evolve your consciousness like this. And you get more and more happy along this process, guaranteed. Less and less disturbed by material things like that. So that is Krishna's plan. Now, the thing is here, this is like a hospital, the material world, because we have this disease of we want to misuse our free will. Free will is very, very important, especially in this world because there are so many distractions. Today, Sunday, I can choose from going to the temple or go and get some beer. What do I choose? You're totally free to do whatever you want. Krishna doesn't interfere. So if you misuse your free will, that will cause you more trouble. But it's your choice. You do what you want. Get drunk or take drugs or whatever. Beat somebody. So we are in this hospital because of the disease of constantly misusing our free will. So in any case, if you voluntarily signed up for the hospital, that's a good sign. Otherwise, they have the other analogy where it says this world is like a prison house, where you kind of violated universal laws and then you have to serve your sentence within the prison. But I kind of prefer the analogy of a hospital, because then you get cured, you get medicine, you get treatment, and gradually you recover. And the interesting thing is, which is kind of touching, you get into the hospital and the doctor prescribes certain treatment for you. You should do this, do that, and the other. And so certain medicine, you take this pill and this one, and then the doctor monitors you. I remember I had a surgery 25 years ago, and I woke up and I was hooked up to all kinds of wires and hoses, and it tested the blood and the blood pressure and the pulse and all kinds of, and there was this monitors beeping, heartbeat. So they were monitoring very closely when I woke up from the anesthetic. So if you have a very caring and loving doctor, he will monitor you carefully. Now I gave you this treatment, let's see how he reacts on this. And I gave you that medicine, let's see how she reacts on this, like this. And I'm talking about the Paramatma. The Paramatma is the aspect of the Lord who sits with you in your heart. It's a very beautiful analogy. It's like 2 birds sitting in a tree. One bird is you, or me, is busy trying to seek pleasure, tasting all the different fruits and berries from the tree. Some are very sweet, undoubtedly, for a while, and others are very bitter and distasteful. And the other bird, that super soul, he sits next to you and just observing, okay, what you going to do now? Okay, he wants this, all right, you can arrange. Now he wants that, I can arrange. So Krishna never leaves you. He's there all the time, monitoring your travel. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridarshir Yunatishtate. He sits in your heart, Hrida, and he's monitoring your activities and what you want to do. And he says, Matta Smriti Jnanam Apwanam Cha. Krishna said, from me comes memory, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So if you want to forget Krishna and just run around, that's fine. He will give you the forgetfulness. You can't even forget him without his involvement. He gives you memories that you act upon. Oh, I remember. I mean, a personal example. When I just became a practicing devotee of Krishna, very new, I wasn't initiated. I came to Gothenburg and I went by, it's a big shopping mall there called Femman. And all of a sudden, Krishna presented to me, I think, a memory of a hamburger, because I used to think it was really good, little juicy hamburgers, you know, with ketchup and all this stuff. I thought, that would be so good. So then the memory sparked the desire. I should go and look for a hamburger maybe. It didn't go that far. That's another topic for another class, the whole chain of awareness. That moment, I happened to pass by one of those hamburger stands, and I could smell, for real, in real life, it wasn't my sugar-coated memory that how good it was real life, and I thought, I almost felt nausea, because it smelled so bad, you know, like burnt flesh from an animal. Because what happens is when you start practicing Bhakti Yoga, your taste for things refines. Things that you found pleasurable before, you know, like, you know, beer, alcohol, or cigarettes, or, you know, hamburgers, sausages, you lose taste for it because they're not conducive for developing the finer consciousness, like mercy. You don't kill animals or any other, you don't commit violence to any others. So Krishna gave me this experience. First, hamburger, and I said that, you know, that was a memory, you know. So forgetfulness comes from Krishna, memory comes from Krishna, and knowledge as well. If you want to know more about Krishna, he will give you, somebody will come with a book, or he will even reveal knowledge from within your heart about him. So he is that loving, caring doctor who prescribes medication and treatment for you and see how you react to that. And they said sometimes he will test your free will, because now you become so strong that you can withstand a lot of distractions from this conditioned existence, but you have to become a little stronger. So he may present you with a difficult test, a really difficult test. But it said in the scripture, he will never ever prescribe or present you with a test which is more difficult than you cannot pass. So everything that happens to you as a devotee, you can, by the right choice, you can move on and make advancement. But, of course, there will be occasional fall downs and lapses and mistakes. That's part, because we have been conditioned for so many thousands and millions of lives and bodies and lifetimes. So we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves. If you do something crazy, if you're still on the right path with a desire to advance, that's okay. You're forgiven. But you should never turn into a rascal. Like some people may think that, yeah, I can go and do this and I can do that, and then I just chant some Hare Krishna and then we'll be okay. That's rascal. You know? I can eat a hamburger once a week and then I chant an extra round. No. That doesn't work. So this is beautiful, I think. The Paramatma is there, monitoring you 24/7. He's your nearest friend. You know, my lifestyle personally now, I've been living alone now for basically 2 years in a little village. I hardly know anybody. Speak to somebody on the phone. In the beginning it was very unusual. Oh my God. When I'm doing it, I'm lonely. I have to call somebody. I remember I was calling you a couple of times. And now I feel totally fine. Krishna is with me, you know. If they want something from me, I'm here. I'm always picking up. And I don't have to bother somebody calling up and, you know, doing this and that. And, Krishna's in your heart. What other company do you need? At the moment of death, he will still be in your heart. And you'll have to leave everybody else. Your whole social network has to go away. So in any way, Um, Krishna's plan is that he presents you with this environment, and if you take it with the right mentality, out of those 5 categories of people I spoke to you about, only one is heading down. And that's the one who, I don't give a crap about the universal laws. There is no God. Even if there was one, I would hate him. I'm gonna do whatever I want. I don't care for any rules. It's just me, and my pleasure. I'm gonna use everybody else for my pleasure. Like this. That's going down. But then 4 of them is actually gradually going up. Even the immoral, even the moral atheist. If you surrender to the universal laws, you're kind of indirectly surrendering to God. If you follow the ethical and moral laws and try to be a good person, yes, I will donate to the dolphins. I'm, all for climate crisis and whatever it is, but I don't believe in God. No. Anyway, fine. At least you play by the rules, and you will gradually, slowly go. But then again, you can become a moral theist and accelerate, and you become a practicing devotee and really accelerate your trajectory of spiritual progress. And ultimately, reach the supreme goal of life. So Krishna's cleverly designing this whole thing, nudging spiritual souls with the right mentality to make more and more advancement. Like this, according to one's capacity. Like this. And the Bhagavad Gita is such a beautiful book because it covers all this. It covers the people who want to do good deeds because they want to enjoy, they want to have pleasure. The karma kandis. They cover the people who are kind of fed up with the material world. I've been suffering so much, and people have been treating me so badly. I just want to give it up. I just want to find myself and merge into the totality of oneness, or that's the muktas. They want liberation, impersonal. That's also covered in the Bhagavad Gita. Our yogi. And then you have the mystic yogis, and you have, but then again, every other page Krishna is putting, like when you make cookies, sometimes you put raisins in the cookies, those are or chocolate bits, those are take chocolate. These are the really sweet things. So Krishna put a little bit of bhakti here and there, every other page of the Bhagavad Gita, and towards the end, he really signals that this is the real thing. That's the bhakti, the loving connection with the Lord. It's not just that I want to enjoy the world and you have to supply me so I enjoy, or I want to give up the world. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I want to be free. It's not just that. I want the positive side. I want to have a relationship with Krishna. I want to enjoy pleasure by giving pleasure to Krishna in different ways. Like that. So that's all in the Bhagavad Gita. In the end, he says, give up all these other paths. Just give them up. And just surrender to me, Krishna. Just surrender. Fall into my arms. Isn't that beautiful? You don't have to pray to any demigods, to any Brahma, Shiva, Lakshmi, Ganesh, Durga. You just surrender to Krishna, and he will fulfill your deepest spiritual desire. Like that. That's the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. So the Vedic literature are full of advice to people on all of these 5 levels. So the trick is to figure out, where should I get my knowledge? Because what is a pious and a good deed for somebody on one platform is actually a bad and a sin for somebody on a higher platform. You understand? You can eat meat, but you should sacrifice the flesh to the gods on this platform. And then you go here. You can eat meat, but you can say, no, you can't eat meat when it comes to this platform. Then you have given it up already. And like that. So that's why you need a spiritual master. Somebody who can give you personal guidance, what to study, on what platform you are, and what you can do for Krishna. To have a spiritual master means there's somebody, like in the old days, there used to be a guru in every village. And young men and young girls, they came there, surrendered, they studied, they learned the philosophy thoroughly. They had the Upanayana ceremony, and then the guru came to know the students. They say, oh, this person is very nicely sewing, they can sew cloth outfits for the deity, he could cook, and he could build things, and he can help translating books. And so the guru very expertly knows the character and nature of his student and can engage him in practical devotional service like this, and also give the teachings that the student needs at a particular level like this. So therefore it's said it's not possible to, make your own way back to the spiritual world, because it's just like you have a hospital full of patients but no doctors. So who will give you medicine? Who will give you treatment? Nah. The super soul? Yeah, sure, maybe, but how do you distinguish between the voice of God and the voice of your disturbed mind? That's also something that the spiritual master helps you with. So there is a cooperation between Krishna from within the heart and the spiritual master from without, that give you guidance, give you knowledge, give you engagement in devotional service. You can make very, very practical advancement. And the process is simple. The process is given by Krishna, that's his plan. You avoid things that will weaken or destroy your progress, and you embrace and engage in things that will strengthen your relationship with God. You all the time expect the protection of Krishna. You understand, just like Draupadi's famous story from the old days, when one saintly woman who was treated very badly by some people who wanted to strip her clothes. She was dressed in a sari, so he was pulling in the sari all the time. They want to see her beautiful young body, and she tried to hold on. No, I don't. And then finally she, okay, I can't do this. Krishna, help me. Then Krishna, he manifests himself as unlimited sari. So they were pulling and pulling and pulling. I was sweating, and finally I realized this is not natural. So Krishna this is an example how God can save a surrendered devotee. So you always expect his protection, and you always accept his guardianship, that he will give you small nudges here, there, how to come closer to him. And during this whole time, we just try to remain humble and tolerant. He gives this example in the Shikshashtakam that to be able to chant Hare Krishna, to meditate on Krishna's name, you need to be very, very humble and very, very tolerant, and ready to give all respect to others like this. If you become proud, I think I'm very qualified and I know better than you, and that's not so good for devotional service. So always stay humble. I'm nothing to be proud about. I ended up in this mess because I made so many wrong choices like that. And then of course I ended up in this place because I happened to make some good choices as well, So, and then finally we just surrendered all mind, body and words to the Supreme Personality of God. That's the plan that Krishna has for the conditioned souls. So end here and encourage each and every one of you at your capability, whatever level or platform you're standing on, just take the devotional service and observe. You can also be your own monitor, how you give up bad habits, how all of a sudden suffering is disappearing more and more, disturbance, and become more and more peaceful person, more and more happy, more and more attracted to goodness, to Krishna consciousness, to association with his other devotees, like that. So are there any questions or any comments to what I just did?
I have several questions while you were speaking. Okay, first you were speaking about the form, different forms of Krishna.
Yeah.
So my question is, where does this form come from? How is it known to us here in this plane where we are existing?
So Krishna, he can manifest anywhere under any circumstances because he acts on the transcendental platform. So for people who has the eyes to see, it's explained two different ways. One in the Padma Purana, it says Atashri Krishna Nanadi Navavika Mindriya Seva Mukha Hijivada Swayameva Spuratya. That means that you cannot perceive the presence of God simply by your blunt material senses, because he doesn't generally subject himself to be like a material object that you can see and touch. However, by performing service, seva, sevan mukhe, then he can reveal himself. So, similarly, if I want to find out, if I want to see you, I have to be a little bit eager, and I cannot just be challenging. Who is this? Show it to me. You're a person. If you have that attitude, you can just stay there. I'm right here. But if I show some positive attitude, and then I come to your place, knock on the door, and then you can choose. Open the door. Here I am. You wanted to see me. You've been sending me those nice cards and sending me, chocolate or whatever, being pleasing. So that's the way to convince Krishna that you are really, honestly eager to see him, because not of challenge, but because you want to please him. Yes. The next thing is explained in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjurita Bhakti Vilochanena. He says that those devotees who are very advanced, whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of love, they see him constantly, because they're so full of love. So he's explained that Krishna, he can transcendentally appear in the heart of a devotee, or in the mind of a devotee, but he can also select to appear in an object which before his appearance is a material object, like a statue made of brass, but Krishna can appear in that, being non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is ceremonies and rituals by which we can invite Krishna to appear in a murti form. That's called the installation of a deity. I've been at some of these in Korsnäs when they installed Radha Krishna there, Shishina Bankgiro. But Krishna can also be installed by the love and the chanting of his devotees. So he can come if there's a loving atmosphere. So he has many different forms, and if the devotee is eager enough, then at one point he will reveal himself. Okay. One way or the other. But don't expect him to walk down the street and see him coming. You see, when Krishna was here on the planet 5,000 years ago, that's scientifically verified by universities in India. There was a person called Krishna, historic individual. He was very influential, very powerful. But of course they cannot prove that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But some people, even in the cabinet of Kamsa, for example, Kamsa was a typical immoral, moral atheist, didn't believe in God, but he knew the Dharma, so he was trying to follow Dharma by being very evil, So the cabinet, the ministers, they saw Krishna, but they didn't see God. They didn't see the loving Krishna. They saw that this is some blue person here, like this. So it's just a question of your consciousness. At one point, thank you. One point, you will be able to see Krishna if you follow his plan. Like this.
Yeah. Okay. Another question I had. Like if you, for example, have if a person has for example, experience of impersonal Brahman, let's say. I mean, it can last for a split of a second, even though in that state there is no time, so you don't really know how long it lasts. But how do you then, because there is so many types of yoga and yogis and meditating, spiritual master, that talk about that spiritual, that impersonal Brahman.
Hmm.
So, is there above that impersonal Brahman exists the spiritual world where Krishna exists like as a persona, as a persona, like and how would you then, if you have already have that experience, that where everything was just one,
Hmm.
there was no material creation, there was nothing there, so how can you go then above that?
Hmm. There are examples of people like the four Kumaras, and famous example Shukadeva Goswami, who was basically an impersonalist also, but became, so it's a question of going from one level to the next. And Krishna is called Krishna because he's all attractive, he's pulling you. Krish means to pull, he attracts you. And one of the few people I have regular contact with is he was an old Buddhist. He, when he was very, very young, it was from 1975 too, I think, he had a very profound and deep experience of the Paramatma, or the cosmic consciousness, which is undeniable. He's been describing it to me, and I have no doubts whatsoever that he actually felt part of the universal consciousness for a split second. And it was so deep, so it kind of molded his life from that point on for the following 50 years. So having an experience of Brahman is absolutely possible, and it's more like a, what do you call this, jumping board to proceed. On one hand, it's a gradual process, and some people go through this, that they first realize Brahman, the totality of everything, and some, like my friend, even realize the connectedness of everything, like the supreme consciousness, before you realize the origin, the source of everything, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Brahmano hi pratishtaham, I'm the basis of Brahman. He says, and he also says he's the Paramatma. That's one of his expansions. So if you find with Brahman realization and say, why should I learn about Paramatma? Why should I learn about the personality of God? Krishna will allow you to stay. But if you feel some pull, some attraction, can I go higher? Can I, because the kind of happiness which one experiences on the Brahman and Paramatma platform is described in the Vedic literatures as compared to a drop of water compared to the ocean. One of the books we are reading regular are derivation of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That's a book by Rupa Goswami, one of our great teachers in the 16th century. Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. Bhakti means the loving devotional service. Rasa means the flavor, sweetness of that service. Bhakti Rasa Amrita is the word meaning nectar, and then Sindhu means ocean. Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. So that is what you experience ultimately by engaging devotional service, because we have this so deeply engraved in our heart that you can't. Everybody's looking for opportunities to serve like this, but we serve fallible soldiers. We serve the government. We serve the family, the husband, the wife, the children, school teacher, the employer, whatever. While our service should be directed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like I met one of our guests here, and he said, I just came in there. I wanted. Is there some service I can do? And he said, it's so natural attraction of, like I mentioned no names, okay. So and then that's so fulfilling when one acts upon that urge of wanting to be of service for the right target of the service. This, I can serve you, but that's temporary. You will be pleased for a while, and then you will not be pleased, or you will leave me, or you will die, or I will die, or whatever. But the service relationship between the spirit soul and God is eternal, unbreakable. No? Now it's just hidden, it's covered, because we are conditioned. We think that we can be happy by serving something else. I serve my employer, I get the salary, I get the money, and I can buy this, and
So then the Mahasamadhi, or being like one with everything, even losing your total individuality, your
Mm.
personal story, and all the material creation is just one stage in
Yes, and it's like a stage where you cannot remain constantly.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You cannot remember.
So what means is that because you're active, you desire. That's the soul. You have desires, thinking, feeling, and willing. So you want to do something. You want to serve something. If you want to serve your senses, you want to serve this. You want to serve God. You cannot remain being one.
Mm.
It's just a temporary, because there you don't suffer anymore. That's called Brahma Saukyam. That means sukha, temporary happiness on the Brahman platform. So it's kind of comfortable. It's nice to be Brahma realized, but it's not stable, because at one point the restlessness comes, the thinking, the willing, the active. I'm a servant basically. So then you have, okay, I go back to this plane again to start serving my community or my family, or I can go further. What can I serve? I can serve Krishna, and then you can.
But it's
rest on
very
this.
difficult to come from that state to go to Krishna.
Krishna is all attractive at any stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But from the Brahma stage, it's.
One can become attached to that, but it's still, you will experience that how it's unstable, because it's just freedom
Yeah.
from suffering.
Yeah.
And it's just like, the only thing that matters to you if you're downtown, you need the toilet, is I got to relieve myself. So once you relieve yourself, then freedom. And after a while, okay, now what? Well, I have to go and eat again, fill up my body, and then maybe I end up in the same situation again, because what goes in must come out. So it's.
But I mean, Krishna is the biggest secret.
Are you happy with the answer?
I'm happy, but I cannot. I'm sorry to.
No.
Yeah, because you see, I don't want to talk a little much about myself, but I had certain experience in my life when this happened, and all the story disappeared, like the personal story. So in that moment, I realized that I'm not the body. Yeah, and then I realized, but what I more realized, that also the personal story that I have, my name and everything that has been accumulated in my life until that point, it doesn't exist really. It's just a story.
Yes, exactly.
So then, from that point of view, if all of this doesn't exist, it's just a story. I already am that spiritual being. How can I, from that plane, go and then say, okay, there is Krishna, there is God above that, and then I am going to serve Him. This is what my question. You know that because in just to finish, I was many years ago in the temple next to my house in Croatia. I had that experience of immense love. Yeah, then lots of desires disappeared from my body, from my mind and everything. But then, of course, I was very young. I stepped out, and I wanted to experience also all these worldly pleasures and stuff. And they took me many years to come back to think about Krishna or God in such way, like a personal way.
Yeah, because Brahman is not personal.
Yeah.
And it's also typical what you say, that you end up a little bit in a vacuum, like there's no name, there's no form, there's no personal history. It's just the oneness. You realize your spirit soul, but you don't realize your spiritual nature yet, the positive nature. So this is actually discussed by Carl Jung, that you end up a little bit like in a spiritual vacuum. You let go of your conditioned nature and all that suffering that came with it and like that, but you haven't yet developed your spiritual nature, your spiritual form. So what you need to have there is patience, and expect that God will reveal your path one way or the other. But because according to Carl Jung, and I agree with him, that many people, they can be quite disturbed about losing everything I thought about myself, all my context, my friends, my family, or whatever, a little bit. You know, just like when I moved to the village a few years ago, I came a little bit into that thing, you know. Now I'm back to square one again. I don't have any farm, I don't have any wife, children, rarely calling, and my function, you know, I said, oh Krishna, what's going on happening? He said, just be patient. Things are being prepared for you in due course. Don't push it. It's not by my effort. What should I do to, you know, I just follow my sadhana, my regular Yuva chanting, you know, follow the principles, study, just day by day, the same. And then at one point, Krishna will show you how you will come closer. And then you will.
Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted, because I'm not bothered by losing everything, you know.
No.
Not at all.
No.
It's just thinking how, because I would definitely like to come to that, to have that love again inside, like I felt.
You had a touch of
yeah.
absolute truth.
And also to be able to serve from that place, you know, to know. So this is why I'm asking, because I believe.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see you again.
I can share a little bit my experience too. I reached before some realization, and I be in the place like you mentioned, and many maybe in the Brahma oneness or in the love and all this kind of experience we get. And to this point, what it was for me special, what it is more. What it is more, what I can learn more, what I can see more, and God, how I can serve you. And there Krishna came. And it was for me not showing all the things in one day. It is the process, like MadavaPuri mentioned, day by day. It is given to you. I never give up and just continue doing the service, chanting, reading, and all the things. And it is coming by self. It is not like pushing, forcing. It is there all the time, just with our mind or with the things how we believe or what we experience it. We think we cannot open fully the heart, and we cannot experience after real Krishna through the hearts. And there it is like just continue doing all the things like the path. Yeah. And it's coming showing by self everything. I think Lochana Prabhu mentioned the last time about the sleeping souls. And
sleeping souls.
Yeah, where it is one place in the Brahmas, I think it was like where the souls they sleep, like it is beginning and the end in this realization. I think it is not always. It is like standing, like never. It is starting and beginning and ending, and this it is beyond this relationship with Krishna. It is totally other levels. Beyond all this beginning or ending, like the Brahmas.
Yeah.
But if you are a sleeping soul, will Krishna still come to you, or is it this vacuum you are in where there comes nothing really at all? Because there is a place where there just comes no information, no path. There's just nothing coming towards you. Everything's just stagnant and still.
Yes.
Nothing comes, not from the outside world.
Exactly.
You see nothing new. Everything is just, you've been pulled back to some place, or you're resting or sleeping somewhere. And is this stage? What can you do to make things come again?
We were talking about Krishna is all attractive. You're part of Krishna, so you also have part of that attraction.
Even when you're sleeping, there.
You attract Krishna by serving him. You attract Krishna by chanting his names. That's the most powerful. That's like I've described the gradual process, the different stages. The fast lane is the yoga dharma, the process for this age, and that is the chanting Hare Krishna regularly. So you go into this mode, like I say, chant every day, get up in the morning, study the scriptures, do some service, and over and above all, try to hang out with the devotees as much as possible. Because where there are devotees, like-minded, like-souled, there will be service, there will be chanting, there will be prasana, all these things. Just day by day by day. And then things will mature, and one day, no more vacuum. That's it.
It's just, I think it can be a scary place, perhaps.
Excuse me?
I think it can be a scary place.
It is absolutely
As
a
also
scary
but
place.
refer to Jung as
And
well.
therefore we need to take shelter. Jung wasn't talking at all because he wasn't really not believing in God or not, but we have the strength of a very authentic spiritual tradition with different practices, and we have the strength of and support of like-minded devotees. We all go through the similar experience. So and there are ways how we have loving exchanges between one another. One is to speak our mind in confidence and to listen carefully, exchange gifts, exchange food and like that. That's what devotees do. Worship the Lord together. So we just patiently go on like this. And then we take shelter of the process, and then we will not suffer the way Jung describes it. But the thing is there, we gradually give up old attachments, old identities, old sufferings, and then enter into our new, it's called svabhava, our new mood. We can do that already in this body, the spiritual mood, the svabhava. And then at one point we will leave this body, material body, and then we'll get the svarupa, which is the spiritual form. But you can adopt the mood of the spiritual form already in this lifetime through this process. I feel a little unfair. You had something to say.
No, but
Yeah.
it's
No?
okay now.
You forgot about it.
For me, it's just, you know, the mantra Hare Krishna, there is nothing else, you know. No matter how much you have been there and here, and, you know, high of this and high.
Mm.
It's only Chaitanya came 500 years ago and gave us this.
Mm.
Before it was unknown, you know.
Yes.
So there is no, it's the
Yeah.
mantra.
This is the fast lane I was talking about, because the rules and prescriptions in the Vedas are pertaining to different categories of people. We're talking about them, and we have like a social system. You have, you know, the workers and the corporate leaders, and then the, you know, police and military, and the priests and the teachers. They all have different prescriptions how to follow the process. It kind of could get pretty complicated because it's pertaining to even the women. They have their special rules also that women should do but that men shouldn't do, and vice versa. It's all there in the Dharma Shastras of the Vedic literature. But that's on the lower platform because it pertains to the particular temporary body. You know, you've been living for 20, 30, 40, 60, 70 years in a particular material body, so you can try to follow all the prescriptions according to that nature, and you will get, it's called Sukriti. It's the name of your sister, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sukriti, you will get more quantities of very good benefits, reactions. So after many, many lifetimes, after Sukriti is there, accumulated, Guru Krishna Prasada Bhai Bhakti Lata, they plant the seed of bhakti like this. So those 4 stages, they are gradually qualifying you to come to the Prem Pumarto Mahan, the 6th stage, which are actually chanting Hare Krishna in this age. So that's the fast lane. That while these things are to the body, you have chanting Hare Krishna has nothing to do with the body. It has to do with the soul. It goes directly into the heart. That's why Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, they gave even to the worst possible abominable creatures, Jaga and Madai, they gave him the holy name, and they transformed him on the spot. Prabhupada said, you can surrender to Krishna in 1 minute. It was very serious. 1 minute. If you choose to use your free will in the proper way, right? And that goes to the soul. So when you chant Hare Krishna, it has nothing to do whether you're from Croatia, from Sweden, from India, if you're a man or a woman, old or young or whatever. It has to do with the soul. That's the power of the Hare Krishna meditation. Krishna is non-different from the holy name. So if you just pronounce Krishna without any particular motive or distractions or whatever, he's present in the sound vibration. I was just reading the Bhagavatam, 11th canto. Krishna is present in the syllable Om, and he's present in the syllables in Maha Mantra, and non-different. So that's the actual secret. You don't really have to endeavor so much, you know, oh, I have to stop eating meat and I can't have a beer and that. Forget about this. Just regularly chant Hare Krishna. Chant. and you will automatically be elevated, losing the taste and attachment to everything that hinders you on the path, re-establishing your loving yoga connection with the Lord.
So that's the real medicine, you know.
That's the
Yeah.
universal medicine for
Mm.
everything.
Mm.
That
We don't need anything else, actually.
we don't need no education.
But I mean, like I experienced, I couldn't do Maha Mantra for a period of time because my heart didn't allow it. It was just stagnant
Mm.
because it vibrates. When I was with you, and we and I felt I was crying and everything was just pouring out of me, and I did that every day, and it really truly helps. It is medicine. But then it was just blocked.
Mm.
I couldn't even do japa because I lost like my soul was dead.
Mm.
Like something happened.
Mm.
And I do not know what it was, but I was forbidden, I couldn't, and I just didn't because it hurt me more than it helped me.
Mm.
And now recently, I started again
Mm.
to chant. I
Ah.
found a little.
Now I understand why you're here.
but I had to do a little break for some
Mm.
reason because I couldn't.
Mm.
But that was just so sad because I tried and I couldn't do like more than three like 1.5 lap in not even.
You got a big dose of this good medicine.
Yeah, and then you just go.
Yeah. So you take a rest and
Yeah,
You
it was
see,
horrible.
the seekers sometimes come in contact with other Vedic traditions and other mantras and other gurus and things like that, which is nice. It's a stepping stone, and you make some advancement. And then when you try to go higher, by some causeless mercy, things may try to pull you back and block you from this. So you have to be prepared to let go of the old. When sometimes things just disappear, you may have some guru and then all of a sudden relationship is cut off by the arrangement of God and you are free to move on. So many strange things happens for somebody who's sincerely looking for truth like that.
I think that at least in my case, it's like certain things I had to experience directly and repeat them several times until I was ready to say, okay, that's not it. Or I mean, it was serving in the moment, but I would say honestly that never I could, because I did all kinds of stuff, I never find that loving connection like I had when I was very young. I was 16 years in temple next to my house, and I had that feeling, 16, 17. And I had that really, really powerful feeling. I did have that something similar with Jesus Christ, with experiences with Jesus Christ, but I don't know. It was similar, but it's not the same. So this is why just a few weeks ago I was sitting in my house and I was in my meditation. I was saying, okay, I did all this stuff. So what now? What should I do now? Please. And I went I went on the street. I went to the shop, and there was a devotee giving books. Listen,
Here in Malmö. Here in Malmö.
In Malmö, yeah.
Oh my God.
And in the front, and she just called me, hey, come here.
Yeah.
And we talked. He gave me such a good okay. He gave me some book. I gave me some donation. I went home. I did not read it. I just left it there. And 1 week passed, 10 days. I was going back outside, and then I saw a group of devotees from Stockholm. They were giving books and stuff, and then I knew I have to come. I have to go back. And then the same day or the day after, a friend of mine called me. She said, I want to go to the Krishna temple to the feast. So I came here. She was late, and
Yeah,
she
I remember
came.
that day, yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
She was, and she left before.
Yeah.
It was somebody that I was healing. I was giving her some treatment. She was feeling bad. So
Okay.
and I knew, okay, this was like she just served for me to come here. And then I met Mother Gemma and everybody here, and so this is why I'm here. So I mean, I'm glad that I'm here, and I know that this is it. But I just, I need to have these certain things cleared out because my experiences were so strong in that certain ways that it was difficult for me to, even though I had my japa always there, and I was occasionally chanting and doing all kinds of other stuff. But I'm here, so
I can recognize what you're saying, and this is also why we recommend, steadiness in the private life, chanting and reading, etc. But above all, coming to see other devotees, because this is the kind of conversations that help one another to move forward, to go cross over obstacles on the path back. And that's also one reason why we're arranging now this Gita study course circle, which I hope that you will sign up to.
But is it in English you will have?
Yes, I think so, because I'm expecting some
Yeah.
English speaking.
And it's live here?
Yeah, once a week. We
Oh.
start on Saturday the 18th,
Mm.
and what did we say, 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock.
And if you just kindly register on kirtan.se/Gita.
But you begin from chapter 1 and go slowly.
I haven't decided. We talk about the 10 fundamental truths, and then every one of us have had different experience of those truths. So we will have questions and discussions and like this.
Because I'm with Jivakesh Monday at 6 o'clock, and we have a Gita course that is so nice, and it's Swedish, and it
Okay.
with pictures and everything,
Great.
So it's very, very
That's
nice.
online, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
soon.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I was talking to her about this. It's a very good initiative,
Yeah.
and since I've lived down here, I want to start small and then,
Yeah.
But this is kind of, it's different.
It's
I
different.
think we're going to go a little deeper than the outside of the Gita too, because I'm basing this on Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Dashamula, the 10 fundamental truths.
Okay.
He kind of condensed the entire Vedic conclusion,
Mm.
but you find it in the Gita, and that's why I wanted to use Gita as the study material. So we can go with principle number 1, and then we look in the Gita, and we can present it and we discuss it.
Mm.
This
Mm.
one.
So does it cost something?
We have discussed,
Yeah,
how
we
we
are
will do.
going to have prasadam and expensive for traveling,
Yeah,
and we are
yeah.
thinking to have a little fee there.
Mm.
And
So-
it is for free for all the youth till 18, and for the
Okay.
others.
So
is
it's
little fee
every
there.
Saturday or?
Every Saturday, 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
Which time?
3
3
o'clock.
o'clock. Klockan 3.
Varje
Klockan
lördag.
3,
Ja.
yeah.
But it's
Varje
open,
lördag.
open for everybody, all ages, and whether you're a senior devotee or a complete beginner, doesn't matter, because we're not.
But I mean, it's always nice to come and listen, to.
Yeah, we're going to chant a little bit here with music.
Yeah.
This you can't do online because of the delays
Yeah.
on the internet. So we're going to do a little kirtan. So you wanted to learn a little harmonium, I think, so we can meet earlier, and so
Yeah.
we cater to the needs. I think this is going to be a pretty long lecture now, right? So thank you very much for coming. We're going to have a little ceremony and singing, and then we will serve out the prasadam feast, the vegetarian meal. Yeah? Okay.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And please share with the others, because MadavaPuri is organizing.
Yes, I will talk to you later about this. So, thank you so much.